Good to have you with us tonight, folks. I guess you could say the jokester, the showboat of the Republican establishment, well, just decided not to run in 2012. Moments ago, after a speech at the Reagan Library, Christie, governor of New Jersey, told reporters that he will not jump into this dysfunctional presidential Republican field. Here's how he put it.
Governor Christie, you're known as a straight shooter, one not given to playing games. Can you tell us what's going on here? Are you reconsidering or are you standing firm?
Listen, I'll be really succinct about this. I saw something great today on the Politico website, and I don't mean to be an advertiser for Politico, but they put 1 minute and 53 seconds of my answers strung back to back to back to back together on the question of running for the presidency. Everyone go to Politico.com. It's right on the front page. I'm not going to bore you with it now. Click on it. Those are the answers.
Guess the question was too deep. Big money Republicans have been begging Christie to jump in because they think the current field is weak. And you know what? They're right. Over the last 3 years, Republican Party has devolved into a party of extremists bent on destroying the middle class in America and President Obama. Base Republicans will never nominate a flip-flopper like Mitt Romney or a former Obama administration official like John Huntsman. Michelle Bachmann's campaign has been sinking like a rock. But she said something, and I want you to pay attention to this, very interesting on the stump in Iowa recently.
We can't settle on a candidate because every 4 years conservatives are told that we have to just stand next to the wall, sit in the back of the room, and we have to get around a candidate that we're told is electable, right? We're told the conservative is the candidate who is not electable. We're told only the moderate candidate in the race is the one that's electable. But that isn't true because we know that the American people are looking for their champion. They're looking for a fighter.
Bachmann is right on this. America is looking for a fighter, and I'm putting my money on this guy.
You know what? If asking a billionaire to pay the same tax rate as a plumber makes me a warrior for the middle class, I'll wear that charge. I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
The battle lines for the ideological war in America could not be any clearer. President Obama is fighting for the middle class and laying out specific legislation to get America back to work. Republicans, well, they've got other priorities.
I will not rest as the President of the United States until we repeal Obamacare.
I can get you a gallon of gasoline for a dime. A silver dime is worth $3.50. It's all about inflation and too many regulations.
My 999 plan is a bold solution. It starts with throw out the current tax code and pass the 9% business flat tax, the 9% personal income tax, and the 9% national sales tax.
You see, folks, the leader of the pack is just as extreme as, I guess you could say, the also-rans. Rick Perry had a horrible week, but he still has a comfortable lead in the polls. Perry is more of a lock after Christie's decision tonight. The Koch brothers and other deep pockets in the Republican Party, they're going to bankroll Perry. And the Christian conservative base will back him, I think, 100%. If you're a liberal, you want this battle. Americans have to decide if they want a president who has 18 months of private sector job growth and a plan to save America's social safety net, or this guy.
It is a Ponzi scheme to tell our kids that are 25 or 30 years old today, you're paying into a program that's going to be there. Anybody that's for the status quo with Social Security today is involved with a monstrous lie to our kids.
No matter how radical he is, he can win the South, I think, better than any other candidate in the Republican field. So, if Sarah Palin doesn't jump in, Paul Ryan's not going to run. Folks, this is the field, and I think it's going to be Perry. Okay, he doesn't debate very well, and he stumbled the other night trying to tell everybody that Mitt Romney's a flip-flopper. Hell, we've known that for a long time. The fact is, they are at the perfect time in history to get exactly what Michelle Bachmann is talking about. A conservative that will not back down, someone that will not negotiate, someone that will appease the 19%ers out there who some think are absolutely nuts. The fact is, the Southern strategy sits with the governor of Texas. That's going to be very important. North Carolina, you just got really important. So did you, Virginia. So how is this all going to break down? Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question, should Republicans settle for Mitt Romney as their candidate? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. And you can always tweet me your answer at Ed Show on Twitter. We'll have the results coming up later on in the show. I want to bring in this gentleman because he met with Governor Perry some weeks ago down in Texas along with other conservative groups. The report was that they came away very impressed. Tony Perkins is the president of the Family Research Council. He is a staunch conservative. Tony, good to have you with us tonight. I've always respected you because you don't mince your words, and I won't either. Now that on the heels of Christie's announcement again tonight that he's not running, who's your guy?
There's actually several in the field that I think social conservatives could support. You've got, as you mentioned, Rick Perry. You've got Rick Santorum. I think Michelle Bachmann still has support out there, a lot of support, actually. I think what's going to happen, Ed, and we're going to disagree on this, but I think whoever ultimately becomes the Republican nominee is going to have strong support among conservatives because of opposition to the policies of the current president.
Okay. But a Southern strategy is crucial, is it not?
Well, I think that the South has voted more and more Republican and more conservative. So, yes, I think you have. That's what I mean. When you look at the Republican primaries, 44% of over 44% of Republican primary voters are social conservatives. So if you look at the field of candidates, every one of them pro-life, every one of them supports traditional marriage. Yeah. There are some that are marginal on the issues, but they all embrace social conservative positions to one degree or another. It's important for the Republican primary.
Okay. But there seems to be a narrative out there that, there are some traditional Republicans that just aren't happy with this field. Do you share that concern?
No. I mean, we heard the same thing last time. As you were laying out the opening for the program, there was talk, 4 years ago that Mike Huckabee was unelectable, that he simply could not be elected, and so the party went with a more moderate candidate who lost. It's interesting now that in polls that if Mike Huckabee were in the race, he would be leading President Obama. So that idea that someone's unelectable because they're conservative just is not held up by the facts.
Is your organization going to support one of these candidates in the near future?
Not in the near future. Our role here is
But will you pick one?
Not necessarily. Now, we have our Values Voter Summit coming up next week, and we will have a straw poll there where value voters will be able to cast their vote for their preference. We work with all of the candidates in understanding our issues and articulating those issues.
Sure.
And at some point, we may weigh in, but it'll be on down the road a ways.
Many on the left think that Christian conservatives in the South will not vote for a Mormon being Mitt Romney. You agree with that? Is his faith a problem?
I think that they are looking at his policies. I do not think that evangelicals see Mormonism as another brand of Christianity. They do see it as a distinct faith. Those who are focused on the theological will have problems with that. But again, I go back, if Mitt Romney were to have the nomination, to gain the nomination, I think that you would see strong support for him based upon the policies that he has embraced compared to the policies that this current president has
But the
advanced.
whisper campaign would be not to support Mitt Romney. Is that fair to say?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not in a general election. If he is the nominee, I don't think that would be the case at all. I think there is going to be a strong support base for the Republican nominee. Now, would it be stronger if it were somebody that they had a common understanding with, both from a faith standpoint and a policy standpoint? Absolutely. And I think Mitt Romney's positions that he's held in the past has been more of a concern to some than his Mormon faith.
Who is the most conservative in the field right now? I mean, if you're not going to announce who you're going to...
Well, I mean, again, I think I could support... I like all the candidates that are in there for the most... I mean, when you consider Herman Cain has done a great job. I like Herman. He's a friend. Michelle Bachmann is a friend. Rick Santorum is a very good friend, and I think would make a great...
What about Huntsman?
Well, I think Huntsman is kind of that one lone wolf that has staked out positions that are not completely embraced by social conservatives, and I think it's reflective in the lack of support that he has gotten. Rick Perry is good, and I like Mitt Romney.
Well, let me ask you, and finally, how disappointed are you that Governor Christie didn't get in this?
I'm not.
You're not? No big deal.
No. When you mentioned the big dollar supporters that he's had from New York, many of them have supported social policies that are in direct contradiction to the social conservative part of the party, and so I don't see that as a loss at all. And
Tony, you don't have to announce it tonight, but I know that Rick Perry's your guy. He is just too good. He's going to win that values voter thing coming up that you've got.
I like the fact that he wears cowboy boots.
All right, Tony, good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. From the Family Research Council. Now let's turn to Mike Papantonio, host of Ring of Fire radio show. Why is Christie stepping out, Mike? What do you make of this?
Well, Christie, if you really take a look at it right now, Conservatives love Christie because he has the style of a governor where he chooses to victimize his opponents, beat them over the head until they submit. He's the perfect candidate. I think it's still the question in my mind is, do the Republicans have such little faith? And I believe this is it. They have such little faith that they can beat Obama that they don't want to use him up right now. They see him as a 2016 kind of candidate. I really believe that they're trying to groom him for down the road. They know this is going to be a disaster for any Republican that runs, no matter what the Republicans would like to say. Things are not so bad for Obama that he can't come up. He's afraid to run. He's afraid to run. They want to keep him out of the race.
You heard Tony Perkins just say that he's okay with the field, that it's no big deal that Christie didn't get in. You believe that?
I don't believe a word of what Perkins just said. As a matter of fact, conservatives liked Christie, for example, because, well, he had an IQ above room temperature. And if you take a look at this field right now, there aren't many of them that do. I got to tell you this. He did have a chance in the South. You've got a problem with the Mormon card where it comes to,
he wouldn't confirm that. He wouldn't confirm that. He's downplaying that.
All you have to do is read the material from his organization, read what he has to say. Look, in the South, the Southern Baptist believes that Mormonism is an oddball cult. And then so what are you left with? You're left with Michelle Bachmann, who's even a goofier version of Sarah Palin than Sarah Palin. You have Perry, a Texas Aggie with a 2.0 GPA, incoherent most of the time when he tries to discuss anything.
But
you have Herman Cain is like a bad... Well, they're not happy with the field. They have to... Herman Cain, look, this is a guy, he's like a bad caricature of a crazy old Mr. Brown in a Tyler Perry movie. You have Huntsman that has too much intelligence, has too much sophistication for the new Tea Party Republicans.
Right.
So there's no way that Tony Perkins is happy with this field. Impossible.
Mike Papantonio, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much. We want you to answer tonight's question there at the bottom of the screen. We want to know what you think. The Republican war. This is my hot story tonight. We didn't lead with it, but this is a hot story in my heart. The Republican war on the Postal Service will hurt more people than you can ever imagine. I'll dismantle the smear campaign that is really going after and trying to kill a great American institution. Postal workers are back fighting the fight, and they are protesting today. The head of the Postal Workers Union will join me next. And we all know George Bush he was bad for the country, but was pretty doggone good comedy, wasn't he? That's why we need Rick Perry to hang in there for at least a little while. Take a look at this.
I'm bored by famine. I cannot wait for a medieval cookie, a Cinnabon, hot yellow Kool-Aid, and save a pretzel for the gas jets.
We'll play you the whole thing later on in the show. Stay with us. We're right back.